Hey everybody, Scout Crafty here again. It's Wednesday, midweek Wednesday, and today we are finishing up our month of celebrating the armed services of the United States. And our next branch of the service that we're going to celebrate today is the United States Coast Guard. Now, interesting branch of the service, the United States Coast Guard. They have the highest re-enlistment rate. You know, it is a great service to belong to, apparently, because people just keep re-upping, so you know it's good. Originally, it was formed in 1790 by Alexander Hamilton. Had a big thing in starting the Coast Guard. It wasn't called the Coast Guard back then, but what they did, basically, they were against smugglers and, maritime. They were the only branch that was protecting the shores of the country back in 1790. The United States Navy didn't come in until 1798. So for 8 years, they were the only game in town, and they have a great reputation as the services go. And basically, their job is maritime navigation and also protecting the shores against smugglers and things like that, and also search and rescue. They do about 109 search and rescue missions every single day. If you don't live near a body of water, you're probably not too familiar with the sea and the ships, but I only live about 400 meters from the Long Island Sound, and we always see the Coast Guard ships. And I used to have a boat and going out, and you would see the Coast Guard. They would do inspections, safety inspections, things like that. Fantastic branch of the service. Now, I do have a couple Coast Guard stories, but the one story that I wanted to tell today is probably something that most of you might be aware of already. I don't know if you realize this, but the drug cartels bringing the drugs into the United States, they've come up with such interesting. They're almost like geniuses, you know. If only they would put their time and effort into legal things, you know, we would be so much better off. But you see the way they try and smuggle across the border and putting things in cars, inside of tires and chassis and whatnot. So, I mean, they're very tricky as far as what they can pull off. But one of the things I think is really interesting is they built these little submarines, these little like 1-man and 2-man submarines that they don't go below the water, but they are just a little bit of it hangs out above the surface, you know. So most of it's under the water, a little bit above the water, and they got these air intakes and stuff. And these poor guys go in these hot boxes, and they drive across the ocean to get to bring the drugs over here. And it's just, if you've ever seen one of these homemade subs, it's amazing what these guys can do. Anyway, I saw one of these Coast Guard guys were pulling over the sub. And have you seen this video? If not, I'll put a link in the description. You got to see this guy. One of these guys jumped off the ship, the Coast Guard ship, on top of the sub, was riding it like you would ride like a surfboard, you know, pointing his M16 down at the sub, screaming for him to get out. I said, man, that is so cool, especially since they got on video. You know, it's one of those things that you tell somebody that it happened, they're like, yeah, sure, it happened. But they got on video, so you got to check that out. It was very, hats off to that guy, you know. If God forbid he fell into the water, I don't think he'd be able to swim with those big nads of his. Anyway, so today, we got a couple things to talk about. We got to finish up our last viewer appreciation. We have Gary Lee's hoard that we have to show you, and it's amazing. So let's get right to it. Okay, so getting to our send-in today. Good friend of mine, Gary Lee from the UK. I came out one day, there was 4 boxes this size in front of my house, and each one weighed a ton. And they came from the UK, and I was like, oh my God, it must have cost a fortune. Gary Lee, like I said, he's from the UK. He used to be in product development for Jaguar and Land Rover. And, he's done all kinds of work. He does tool restorations himself, but he likes the channel, and he sent in a bunch of stuff, and we got a lot to talk about with this stuff. It belonged to his father. His father was known as Edmund or Eddie Lee, and he was a big tool guy too, and that's where I guess Gary got his love of tools and everything. But there was so much different stuff here. And then also Gary sent in some newer stuff I'm going to show you later on that we wanted to talk about. But what's so interesting about all this stuff that he sent in, he sent it in and he says, you know, I thought you could channel or something. And we were talking and we thought it'd be a great idea that I could bring some of this stuff to one of the next steam engine meets we have, and we can have a little bit of a kind of a contest. And so everybody will be able to pick a tool that they want, and they could restore it and then send photos in, and we'll have it like, you know, a tribute to his dad. I thought that'd be pretty cool because, like I said, there's a lot of stuff here, and I know there's a lot of you out there that would like to you know, try a hand at restoring all kinds of different things. He sent like you could see here, a bunch of these type of screwdrivers. These are big, and they were big years ago. They used to call them turn screws, actually. But you can see here, this one here needs a little repair or to fabricate a new handle. But he had a bunch of those type screwdrivers. A nice little brace here. All kinds of. This one here is a newer one. And you could see the blade thickness on here, but it is a beautiful one. It says made Taurus. You can see the little bull insignia. You can see that Taurus. I don't know where that was made. Probably Spain or something, right? But all kinds of, you know, a couple Yankee screwdrivers. Nice 199 from UK. We don't see these here in the States too much. Look at this. Look how nice this is here. This is obviously, it's a tin shears, but look at just the way it's made, and you could see it's a quality piece, you know. You could tell by this. You can always feel good steel. This here, really interesting. I'd like to talk about this here. They call it like an Archimedes screw or drill. I want to show you how this works, and maybe we'll clean this one up today. A couple things I want to talk about that he sent that were really cool. He wrapped everything in a bubble, nice bubble wrap and everything. Nice little level here. Again, all stuff we don't see here in the U.S. You know, like, again, these type of... You know, we get pipe wrenches here, but nothing like the UK and the Europe has different ones. And then there's this cool coffin plane. And it's funny because I just sent a video to 357 Magdad. I said, check this out. It was a video where the guy restored... it was a coffin plane that was made into a car. I guess some years ago, some guy turned a coffin plane. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I'll show you what the pictures look like. He did this here, coffin plane, turned it into a car, and I just thought that was wild, you know, because I don't use planes too much. Like I said, I never liked planes because I've ruined more work than I finished off. But I mean, this is interesting. I don't have one of these, and I thought either make it a plane or maybe one of those cars. And it's funny because speaking of 357 Magdad, this weekend coming up, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for Jacktown, and Saturday and Sunday for Colchester, which is Zagray, it's called. It's two steam shows this week, you know, tractor shows coming up this weekend. However, I'll probably be going to Zagray. I'll be there early from 6 to about noon. Look for me with my red backpack. Number 2. Had some, look at these great, now everything came wrapped. Everything you see came wrapped individually in plastic bags and tape so nothing could get damaged on the trip over here. Look at this cool tin, Murray's dark flake tobacco, and look, it's even vented on the side here. That's cool, huh? But here's some interesting taps, and look at this. Somebody had to probably use this tap quite a bit because it's a welded in or brazed in handle. You see the handle's brazed in there? And I thought that was pretty interesting. But these taps will clean up, believe it or not. And look at this one here. This one had a nut attached to the top. Again, 1/4x20. But some of these were Whitworth and unusual taps. Always good to have. You never know when you need an unusual tap. James, my buddy James, just did one of these. This is obviously it's a real type tape measurer, but it has a steel, you could see here, but these clean up nice, and they all come apart. James took one apart recently. This is all brass over here, just has to be cleaned up. It's a nice project. A couple of sorted wrenches, a nice made in England Stanley. We never see these over here too much. We always get the regular USA ones. But a couple nice, interesting, some unusual tools that you don't usually see, that, you know, part socket sets, just things like that. Here's really something interesting. Look at these nice glass cutters. A nice assortment here. There's 5 of them, and they're all different, you know. And you can see this is very unusual ones that you don't usually see, especially here. They really took pride in the way they made glass here, Shaw in England, glass cutters. I always like them. I have a collection of my grandfather's. Here's an interesting tool. Look, this is a saw handle. Obviously, the screws have been replaced. You know, you would need set screws, but maybe nobody wanted to carry an Allen wrench, so they replaced it with regular screws. But you can see it's a regular saw. Nice brass top here. Beautiful handle. I mean, this is, you could see the quality. This screams of quality. And there's a bunch of surf form tools. Now, if you don't know what those are, these are a type of tool here that they have this, they used to call them surf form. They have, you know, the grating on here, and these work great. And what's nice about these is the blades are replaceable. When they get dull, he sent a few extra blades here. You could see that you just would snap them in. They unscrew, and there was like 6 of them here, all different styles, especially when you're doing prototyping or something like that. You're doing Bondo and things like that. This is how you get, you know, the Bondo off of it first to get down to, and then you would, you know, do some hand sanding and stuff. But these things are great. I used to use them all the time when I was doing body work. But again, cool stuff. Next up, box number 3. Gary sent 4 beautiful hammers. And the only problem with the hammers, the handles are not so good, but the hammer are just gorgeous. I mean, first of all, we all like good sized ball peen. You know, ball peens always clean up nice. Handle is just not the right handle. This is a nice sized ball peen, and look at that. It's got kind of a, instead of a ball, it's almost like a tapered end. It's got some writing on it. Can you make that? I can't really make that out, but look at that. Nice, in nice condition too. You know, good size ball peen. This, I know it looks beat the heck. He said one of these hammers was used in a coal bin for years. Maybe this one, because, you know, but I bet you we can get this back to, and isn't that a pretty hammer? And this handle is actually nice, and it's on there solid, surprisingly, right? That handle's on solid, but this is a challenge, right? This is a challenge, this one, because look at that rust on there, but you know what's under it. I like that. And then this one here, this is absolutely such a perfect size. First of all, the short handle, you know, I like, even though I still choke up a little. But this is great for working near the anvil or something like that, because it's just the right size. The only thing is, there's a little chip here. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to make this into like almost like a cross peen hammer. So what you would do is you would clean up everything here and then taper this and taper that to make this like a, you know, a stretching style hammer. You know what I'm talking about. What a beautiful size and what a nice weight to it. 4 great hammers. Now last up, actually I think this was the first box I got, but this is how it all started, because Gary and I started talking years ago about, months ago, about the wedges. You see here, remember I did that video about these wedges that, you know, you can get them in England. They're hard to find over here. And he sent me a bunch of them. And look at this, even the sledgehammer wedges, you can see how wide that one is, right? And again, if you've never seen these wedges, they both, you know, they expand in all different directions. I haven't yet to try these. I would love to try them with the dake. The draper and the dake together would make a great pair. Look how small that one is. That's a nice size, right? So I'm going to look forward to putting those on. He sent another one. Again, I have a couple old ones. This one seems to be a new one. It's beautiful, you know? And you know how these work. You just give this ring a turn, and that pops out, and then, you know, it's a screwdriver. But again, these are something that you have to be very careful when you're using, because you can mar your surface, because especially with the flat screwdriver blade will slip out of the screw and mar your surface. Now, I was first introduced to these years ago. Guys came to put on storm windows in my house when I was a kid, and I remember the guys all had one of these, you know, and they would, you know, zip, 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 and they installed them storm windows in no time. It was before cordless drills and everything in the 70s. sent this beautiful aluminum. See how I did that? That's like the British way. Tipco, British made. I love when it says British made on there. Aluminum. Marked. This is really a nice ratchet. And it was missing the screws, but he sent some metric screws here that there might be M2, M3. And this thing, it's a really... it's a hard ratcheting. You know, I wonder if it's the spring in there. It's a hard ratcheting ratchet, but it's got the ball oiler on top. And again, these are replaceable. You know, you could pop them out and put in a new ball oiler, and that's meant that you can put oil in oil a ratchet. But yeah, this is really nice. Aluminum. This feels so nice and lightweight. And then last up, let's have a discussion about Gary sent these. He bought these, and originally he saw the Perfect Handle restorations we did over here. He said, you know, these sold new. They're made by Gunson. It's a UK, you know, firm you see there. And you can see what it says here. It doesn't say country of origin on there. I couldn't find it where it was made. But I have to tell you something. He said to me, he said, what do you think of these? Because, you know, he mentioned, first of all, he was disappointed. And remember, he's prototyping for Jaguar and Land Rover and stuff. So when he got the, you know, first, it said it came polished. It showed polished steel. And then he arrived black. So he's like, what's that all about, right? Secondly, and if you notice, it does look, he even said, he says, it feels almost like out of balance. And I was like, you know, obviously Gary's got a good eye for this, because if you look especially at this one here, the size of the handle and the size of the shaft, it is out of balance. Because first of all, why do you need that thick of a shaft with such a small handle? You can't get the leverage that you would need. And if you're going to use, you're not supposed to use as a pry bar. It's just too thick here, too thick. The handles, and he pointed this out right away, but you could see the handles are proud on the bottom. The fit, you know, you could see light through here, which, you know, coming from the factory, you shouldn't be able to. It uses some kind of hex fastener in there. And when you hold the screwdriver, now I told you, when you feel my Perfect Handle screwdrivers, you're like, oh, that feels glorious. When you hold this, it feels totally out of balance. It just feels wrong. And he picked it up right away, but he says, what do I think? He's absolutely right. It feels wrong. Everything about this seems wrong. The colors, some guys out there probably say, oh, I like the black or whatever. You know, once you get used to seeing the other kind, so we're going to see what we can do with these. We're going to see if we can't fix them, you know, because I don't mind the red on here. You know, I'm a big red guy, so I don't mind the red, but, you know, even here, if you tighten those down too much, you know, whenever you have a wood fastener, you need to have, that's why they countersink wood fasteners, because, you know, this will just rip through the grain and they'll pop off eventually. There's nothing to hold it. You only have a 1/8 of an inch fastener to hold on these grips, and they're not glued, I don't think. We'll see. We'll mess with these. Tell me what you think in the comments. Before I take this, this project on, please let me know what you think about these and your thoughts on them. I just gave you my thoughts, but again, I'm kind of prejudiced with when it comes to Perfect Handle screwdrivers and stuff like that. I've dealt with so many. There are some I like, some I don't. You know, tell me what you think. The tips, kind of thick, right? Kind of thick, you know, but let me know what you think, and I'm sure Gary would be interested to know too. But they just, it seems like they missed the mark, right? Just a little bit. Okay, so for today's project, let's tackle Edmunds' beautiful Archimedes drill here, okay? And you know, you can see how this is just a nicely made. It's just, it needs some work. And these were, you know, they're still used today in certain jewelers, things like that use them. Let's clean this up, see what it looks like. I love these things. Now, you know my favorite part. Remember what this Archimedes drill looked like before we started. I'm calling this project done. You know Edmund's getting a big grin on his face upstairs, and I'm sure even Gary is. And let me show you what we did here. And look, you can see here, it says Hobbies, and it says Made in England. Can you see that? Hobbies Made in England. And we just cleaned it up nicely and took all the rust off here and polished up everything, all the brass fittings. These use a different type of bit. Again, they're made to start holes, things like that. They usually have a square edge on the top. And the important things with these is they have to be smooth. And you can see how smooth. I polished all the Archimedes twist thread here, and you can see how nice now this works. And this is free spinning on top, and I'll show you how you use this. Now, these are pretty easy to use as long as you know what you're doing here. And basically what you do is you put your bit in here, tighten it up, and then they're good for starting holes or making holes in thin material. And what you do is you're going to put pressure on the top here. Remember, this spins, okay? So you put pressure on the top, and then you're going to run this up and down like this, and that'll create the twist, you see? And don't worry about the fact that it's reversing, because as you go up and down and you create pressure, you can see we drove that into the wood. You can see how quick and easy that works. And again, look at that nice hole it makes, you know, and quickly, you know, no electric drill needed, just a little pressure on here, up and down, and you're in. You know, I think these are fantastic, and they're great for small kinds of work. You're making dollhouses, things like that, or, you know, whatever you might make. But the Archimedes drill from Edmund Lee, what a beautiful tribute and nice drill this is, isn't it? So there it is. You made it through another episode. Like how we talk about you made it through another week. Well, you made it through another episode. And Gary, thank you so much. I can't even tell you how much thank you. But we're going to figure out a way to get this. We're going to have maybe a meet up at one of the Steam shows, and we'll have a challenge to see who can do the best job in restoring one of your dad's tools. I think that'd be fantastic. Also, if you're a member of the Coast Guard, or know anybody or have a good story, put it in the comments. The Air Force comments were spectacular. I didn't know there were that many Air Force vets in the in our group. And overall, it's going well this week. And I really appreciate you tuning in. Hope you have a great day. Take care now. Bye-bye.